To give you some context, this is going to be right after they sit down. So usually I speak to middle, elementary, high school students. This is going to be specifically for a high school. And usually when I go in, tremendous amount of energy. I do a lot of interaction, a lot of call and response. I have them stand up, raise your hand, pat yourself on the back, give each other a high five, give each other a hug. I grab my camera, I do a little creative thing with them as well. So there's a lot of energy in the room at this moment, and this is when I'm telling them that they're going to sit down. So this is 10 minutes consolidated time. So, all right.
Come on up. Romeo Salvatore graduated from the University of Maryland in 2003 with a degree in economics. He then went on to get his MBA in 2005. He spent nearly a decade in sales management, training, and leading teams while winning numerous statewide and national sales leadership awards. He now travels the country speaking to elementary, middle school, and high school students, along with college students and educators, and he trains leaders at all levels. He's also co-owner of a consulting service firm. His first book, Fighting for Your Life, How to Live Fully and Love Deeply in an Age of Unparalleled Distraction, will be released later this year. Romeo is not a snowboarder, skydiver, or bungee jumper. However, he does enjoy watching videos of people doing those things. He's married to a beautiful woman named Natalie. If you were to ask his friends if he married out of his league, they would all say yes. He also has 2 amazing kids. Ladies and gentlemen, Romeo Salvatore.
Thank you guys so much. That was incredible. That was phenomenal. You may be seated. Well, first of all, I'm so pumped to be here, and my gut is telling me, I'm guessing that this may be the most biggest, baddest, coolest, most swagalicious high school I've ever been to. If you agree with that, make some noise. Awesome, awesome. If you know anything about me, you'll know that I am addicted to energy. So all of the enthusiasm that you have already given me since I've been here gives me all the confidence in the world that I know that the next few minutes are going to be awesome. So with that, I just wanted to shift the focus a little bit to the administration and just express my most sincere appreciation and gratitude for bringing me here today. I always count it as the most extreme privilege and honor to be able to speak to high school students, so I'm amped to be here. Thank you again so much. Student leaders, today we are going to talk about 3 things that I wish I knew when I was your age. 3 things that have the power to preserve and protect what I know all of you are going to build with your imagination, your ingenuity, and your creativity. Number 1, find what makes you come alive and go do that. So I wanted to share with you a quick story that hopefully puts you on a much more accelerated path than me to get you connected to living your calling, to discovering your mission, and to stepping into your passion and your purpose. April 19, 2005 was a day that changed the direction and altered the trajectory of my life forever. I was sitting front row at Montgomery College in Silver Spring, Maryland. My mom, we were there celebrating my mom and her students and all the students there at the college. My dad was sitting with me. We were sitting front row. I had my camera. So pumped and so excited for my mom. This was a huge day for her. And I noticed the program coordinator came up to the microphone, and there was a little bit of dead air. She had this perplexed, baffled look on her face. And she stepped away from the microphone. She went to my mother, who was on the stage. She bent down, and she said, then my mom came off the stage. She whispered in my ear, and she said, Romeo, the motivational speaker didn't show up for the evening. Do you want to do it? I said, Mom, how much time do I have? And she said, 5 minutes. I said, hell no, I don't want to do it. Now, for high schoolers, I say heck, by the way. Heck no, I don't want to do it. So at that time, my dad elbows me in my chest as hard as he could, and I still think I have an indention in my chest cavity to this day. And he said, son, I don't care what you say to these students. Get up, they need to hear your voice. And to this day, my theory is he was just trying to get me out of the house. So my mom goes, she walks back up the stage. I catch eyes with her, and I nod my head as if to indicate to her that I'll do it. So for the next 5 minutes, I wrote 4 words down on a piece of paper. Passion, patience, priorities, and perseverance. And I put some random illustrations to go along with it. The program coordinator cut me absolutely no slack and got up there and introduced me as if nothing was any different and introduced me as a motivational speaker for the evening. 15 years later, they are my biggest client. And students, you want to know how much they paid me that day? You want to know how much they paid me 6 months later when they invited me back for round 2? They paid me in certificate form. It was a certificate frame that it simply said, Mr. Salvador, thank you so much for coming and pouring into our students. Want to know how much they paid me for round 3? $200. Round 4, $400. Round 5, $700. Today, they pay me nearly $3,000 for a 15-minute speech. Students, your dreams have absolutely nothing to do with what you want and everything to do with the leaps you are willing to take and the work that you are actually willing to put in. Number 2, character, your character will either make you or it will break you. I remember it like it was yesterday. I walked into the lecture hall late at the University of Maryland, Robert H. Smith School of Business. At this time, the Robert H. Smith School of Business was a top 10 business school in the nation. I walk in, I sit down by my buddy Jay, and I go, Jay, what's going on in this room? What's up with all the doom and the gloom? Why does everyone look so down? And he said, no biggie, man. He said, professor just got up and said, if you don't get your exam back at the end of class, you know why. It was at that moment that my heart sunk. And I knew everything was about to change. So I walked up to I walked up to my professor at the end of class. I waited in line. There were 9 students in front of me. When I got up to my professor, he said, son, do you know why you are here? And I said, yes, sir. I said, I cheated on your exam. And he said, okay. He said, I just wanted to let you know that you are the only student amongst these 10 that actually owned up and admitted to it. Tomorrow you will stand in front of the Judicial Committee and they will talk to you about your consequence and your ramification. I said, yes, sir. I went home that night and I told my parents what had happened in absolute tears. My father's from the Philippines. If you know anything about a Filipino household, there's 2 mistakes you don't make. Number 1, do not ever devalue education. And number 2, do not ever shame your family name. And in one moment and in one decision, I did both of those things. And my father at the moment and my mom received me with unconditional love. They said, I'm not proud of what you did by any stretch of the imagination. However, we'll get through this together. So the next day, I went in front of the Judicial Committee and they told me, Mr. Salvador, we just wanted to let you know that the other 9 students aren't here because they've all retained legal representation. And they said, we just want to let you know essentially what your consequence is. Your consequence for cheating on this exam is over the next 6 months, you're going to read 10 books, all on ethics, about 150 to 200 pages each. We're going to pull one question from each book, and you're going to essentially write an 8 to 10 page paper on each book. So in essence, I had to come up with about a 100-page term paper over the course of 6 months. And as you can imagine, it was one of the most painstaking assignments I've ever done in my life. For the tape, 6 months later, I stand in front of the Judicial Committee, or the Judicial President, it was one-on-one, and he said, Mr. Salvador, I just wanted to let you know that your record is expunged. Thank you. So as I walked out of his office that day, he said, son, and I looked back at him, I said, yes, sir. He said, you learned at 18 what some people don't learn in a lifetime. I said, thank you, sir. I went to go try to walk out of his office again. He said, son, one more thing. I said, yes, sir. He said, I just wanted to let you know that the other 9 students who retained legal representation were all expelled from the university. I don't know where they are today, but I do know where I am. I'm on this stage right now to tell you, each and every one of you, to lead your lives with character and integrity and trustworthiness and honesty. May your life be governed and ruled by credibility. As my pastor likes to say, it is your direction, not your intent, that will determine your destination. Everyone says surround yourself with winners, surround yourself with whatever, surround yourself, what I like to say, with people that will breathe truth into your life. Not just tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear. Number 3, and finally, I leave you with this. Number 3. What is number 3? Number 3 is...
You are over 10 minutes.
Yes, okay, I guess I'll do that.
Okay.
Yep. Number three was if you are hurting, can I do it for like 30, 45 minutes? Okay. If you are hurting, please ask for help. If inside you feel broken, if you feel helpless, if you feel hopeless, if you feel like you're on an island where essentially no one is willing to listen to you, I pray and I hope that you will reach out to someone, because people are out there willing to care, willing to listen to you. And if you haven't heard it in a long time, let me be the first one to tell you. I love you, and I'm for you, and I believe in you. You're right. Romeo, you don't know me. You're right, I don't. But I'm here to tell you that you are worthy, you are significant, you are important, you are valuable, and no matter what anyone says, you are more than enough. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great use of voice. Great use of voice. So I'm going to start in a weird place. Rewrite your bio.
Okay.
You need to start with where you are now, not with where you went to college.
Okay.
Just like you would in a regular resume, that's however past. And on top of that, what I got out of that was you were a little bit of everything. I wrote down, sounds like you do everything. Be a master at something, right? Make your bio applicable to who you're speaking to. So with your talk, remember, you can control what your person says about you. Give them, by the way, here's the bio for this talk, because your audience is different. So your bio needs to be different, right? Your audience is going to be more caught up in kind of who you are on stage versus what's on the bio. But yeah, start with, I wanted you to say, you know, Romeo is an expert at, or is whatever, or, you know, after going through edX graduate, whatever. I wanted part of who you were, not where you graduated. So I had a little bit of a disconnect right there. And it's kind of one of the things I've noticed is it's kind of run through everybody. Well, first of all, right, just talk. Just tell me your story. You don't need to preface it. You don't, just go into it. And then you said something, I'm going to shift my focus, I just wanted to do it. Just do it. Don't tell us what you're going to do. We see. You don't need, it's like in a script when they're writing out the actions to take while the speaker's speaking. We don't need to know that. Just do it. We'll pick it up. We'll figure it out. Not to mention that is when your time, again, that's precious time. Every word takes time. So it leaves you more time. Be really, really intentional with what you say and ask yourself, is this necessary for my story? And then you went into, there's 3 things I want you to know, and I kind of went, well, why? Based on what? I want your story and your credibility first. I want something to tell me why there's these 3 things. Why? I mean, you've got like my attention, and yeah, he's cool and all that, but when you jump into there's 3 things, and maybe I'm coming at this from more an adult perspective, obviously, but is tell me a little story first. You know, maybe you're thinking, you know, I don't get where you are, it's this, whatever, and I'm older than you, but let me tell you, I was in that seat and I did this. Or give us some little tidbit. It doesn't have to be long, it can be 60 seconds. And there's 3 things I learned from whatever I did in school. And then you went to, I just want to share with you. Just share with us. Just go into it. And I may have missed something because I wanted to know, what were you at college that day for? I know you were on stage with your mom, and so I may have just taking notes, missed something.
She was the professor, or she was an instructor at the time, so it was a graduation for her students.
Okay, so you weren't grad, so I wasn't clear on that. I don't know if I just missed something, but that was not clear. But what I love is when your mom said, hey, do you want to do this? First of all, I want you to slow down overall a little bit. Now, I know the kids have energy, so it's more of using the pace. Pick it up, slow it down. This was a place to slow it down. Be there. Mom, do you want to do this? And I paused and I thought, do this. What does this mean? There's 500 people out there, whatever. And then when you said, you were like, you know, heck no, or whatever. Like, use that. Use that because it makes us, and I'm sure the kids, relatable to you in terms of being up in front of a room, last minute, not knowing, like kind of pull us in there. And I think you could have used some little impact there. And then we all could have related to, like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I got 5 minutes. And then you said something about your dad said, you hear my voice, but I think he just wanted me out of the house. I don't know how those two related. How does hearing your voice relate to you being out of the house? There was, again, make sure everything's intentional or has a transition. It has to flow. You know, think of it like a song. It has to kind of flow and not have a block there. And what I was thinking in my head was, you said 15 years later or something. Before that, I was like, you know, so what was I supposed to do, man? I went for it and I killed it. Like, you know, something like that. Pull that out. Like, yeah, pull them back in there with you. You know, show that you did it and I killed it. And now 15 years later, this is what I'm doing. Who would have thought that was something, again, to pull us, like I just wanted to when you did it, how it happened. Like I wanted a little piece of that. And then, you see, you talked about work. Yeah, I think the other thing I had, which I already mentioned, was pace. When you talked about character, I actually didn't get what was wrong. I would have just thought y'all all flunked the test or something. So I would have loved something in there was, you know, when I went in, I had done something really stupid. You know, we all have that moment that we wish we could block out, and this was my moment. Again, pull us in with you. Pull all the students in that room with you who have been tempted, right?
Absolutely.
So that we know what's, I mean, because I had kind of not a disconnect. I mean, the jar is not bad, a disruptor is not bad. But for, you know, good 30 or 45 seconds, my brain was already thinking one thing. So just an acknowledgement that, you know, because all of a sudden you went from not getting my test to I cheated, which was a huge gap in there. So it's like, you know, I've done something really stupid. You know, we've all been there, right? We've all done something stupid that we wish we hadn't done or nobody knew about. And not only did I do something stupid, but now everybody knew about it. Like kind of again, you want us on your side. And it doesn't matter what age they are. They're especially harder with their phones, right? Pull us in. And you said something at the very end on your last one about, I don't remember what your statement was, something about, you're right, I don't know this, tell us your thinking, tell us what we're thinking, right? That's a little kind of an NLP thing, tell us what's going on. So in that sentence, I don't remember exactly, how did you say it? You're talking about, at the very end, you're thinking,
About you are valuable, you are significant.
yeah, you said something about, I don't know, but I wanted to say, I wanted you to acknowledge what you're thinking. You're thinking, how did I know whatever? And you're right, like kind of, again, because it's pulling us back.
Okay.
It's keeping us there. So I thought that was great. Like I said, circling back, I still don't know what you do. I know you speak to kids, but based on the other thing, I have no idea. So this is, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Okay. Cool.
I think it's great energy for that environment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then you do rock and dance a little bit too, but again, I don't know if that's just this room because you can't go and use the space.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
This is a tough room.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
Steve?
yeah, absolutely wonderful, Romeo. So just some fine points there, like I noticed that too, like when you're being introduced, you were rocking back and forth there, so like maybe, you know, maybe a thing stands still, maybe not deep, but just a thought in that respect. I don't know if you ever saw the Modern Family one when somebody was like over the top and the kid said, yo, get over it, like tone it down, please. You ever see that episode?
I've seen Modern Family, I haven't seen that.
But there was a scene like that, sort of like, I taught junior high school too, like sometimes like you can't go over the top to begin with,
Sure.
but maybe just meet their energy, and like I'm sure you've done it multiple times, but meet their energy where they are, and then build to a crescendo.
Okay. The only thing I want to say, I think this is pretty cool just to give you even more context. The high that I'm going off of when I first start talking is, this is usually what I'm dealing with in this moment in terms. Hey everybody, I'm in Edison, New Jersey today, and I thought it fitting that I introduce you to 500 of my newest friends. John P. Stevens, make some noise! So I usually get on the stage, I'm like, just to give you context. But I totally, not the first time I've heard it.
I love that. So Romeo, I thought that was amazing. I was really excited to see you speak today because I knew you were going to bring it. A couple of things for me. I felt like in the cheating story, we missed a character moment there. There had to have been a moment of, oh shit. And, well, what do I do? Do I own up to it? Do I not? Do I lie? You know, because obviously there was a very distinct difference between you and the other 9. But it felt like you just went, okay, well, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna tell him I cheated. So I think there's something, especially for this audience, that you might want to explore with that story. I don't know where you pull other pieces from it. I felt like maybe there was some stuff in the back end that you could have pulled out, but there's some real power in that decision process of what am I gonna do, what am I gonna say, and then I gotta go talk to my dad, right? So there's just so much power in watching a young person make that kind of decision, and I think we missed the mark a little bit there. One other thing that I noticed, and I missed it in 2 and 3, but when you did number 1, so I'm going to share 3 things that I wish I knew. Number 1, and I put up 5 fingers basically, or it felt like either number 1 or do something different with your hands. It just felt like a little jarring. I thought it was fabulous. I love the Ian Stanley quote. Yeah, big fan there. So, the cheating story, I felt like there's something really rich there that you can pull out.
Build the suspense.
Yes.
Can I?
Sure.
Or do we need to move on?
No, we got like 3 minutes.
Okay, so just really quick, I'm not going to say all the wonderful things because you're wonderful. Yeah, I think you already know you're wonderful. Try not to repeat phrases. There were quite a few phrases that you repeated, which is fine in a sense of the kids, but it's not the best. Ask questions. These are kids. They want to know how they feel. They want to know what they would do. Put it on them, because I think this is such a great opportunity. You've got kids. Have you ever been tempted to cheat on a test? Do you remember how that felt? Do something that will make them experience it with you, and I think it will be they'll take home. And then the last thing is just, one more thing on words. Look up words currently used by them, because kids really don't use awesome anymore. Sorry, but my kids will text me stuff, and I will literally have to text back, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, LOL, 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 and then they tell me what it means. So just Google, what are the 5 top words being used by kids today, slang, whatever. Because when you hit that, when I said to my kids some kind of word like that was one of their words, they were laughing. They just thought it was hilarious to see this old person using one of the words. They loved it. Leaps willing to take and work willing to do. And I just wrote, use a phrase like this to repeat, to give the kids a takeaway. You've got so much going on, but what will they take away? What are they going to remember? They're doing this all day. What is the one phrase? Is it, you are more than enough? Then say it 7 times. Is it, leaps willing to take and work willing to do? Then say it 7 times. But there has to be something, because they'll have a good experience and be happy, but what will they, tomorrow, when they're hurting, what will they remember? So something in there for them, especially with kids who are doing this all the time, would be helpful. So, great.
Can I add one thing, right?
Okay.
So, actually 2 things. So again, back onto the character thing, because there's a whole part about the character that decided to cheat that you didn't even address, right? So there's something about that character that you got to see that said, let's cheat, and to talk about that, like Keller said, maybe bring it in. And then when you said, I hope and pray that you reach out for help, no. When you're hurting, you reach out. Don't do that hope and pray stuff, right? You reach out. If you're hurting, you reach out.
And love.
Yes, right? Yes. I'm saying in like you reach out, right? Because when they're hurting, they have to have somebody back there going, yeah, reach out, rather than, hey, hope and pray. No. Yeah. Thank you. Because you have that energy to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.